Greetings and welcome to the 14th episode of Retro Rant. For this episode, we will be taking a look at Wasted Dreams, released in 1999 by Digital Dreams Entertainment for the Commodore Amiga. As you will probably know, by 1999, Commodore was dead and buried, and I had long since moved on to the bland world that is the PC. So I had never even heard of Wasted Dreams until I stumbled upon it a couple of years ago purely by chance. So let's give it a bash and see what it's all about.
It all began over 2 years ago. The Earth had become overpopulated with poverty and misery on every corner. The criminals had taken control over the cities, and nobody was safe anymore. To escape from the madness, Harper and I joined a space exploring mission, who required mercenary soldiers. The occasion was perfect, and we were soon on board Explorer FX2. Morale was low, and we'd had enough of traveling throughout the deepest parts of space. Just when all hope in our hearts were about to vanish, like a flash from the sky, she shone brightly in front of us. She was 10 times bigger than Earth and looked a real beauty. We christened her Algillera. First scans of the planet's surface had determined that it was suitable to sustain life. Moreover, there were a plethora of edible plants and simplistic animal forms. We soon landed and quickly established base camp and initiated our basic survival apparatus. It didn't take long before we began to explore our potential new home. Our base camp has now grown into a fully functioning settlement that Earth would be proud of. We were now ready to make the long journey back to deliver hope and news on our discovery. Sitting comfortably in my chair, I'm watching the rest of the crew board the ship, all their faces showing excitement and happiness. On my left, I can see Harper, already in a deep sleep. I start to feel the same drowsiness.
I have to say, this is one of the most impressive Amiga intros I have ever seen. Wasted Dreams is an arcade adventure, much in the same vein as Flashback and Another World, but employing a 3D semi-isometric, semi-top-down view. You are shipwrecked in a hostile planet. You have to fight aliens, navigate through dangerous territory, be stealthy and fleet of foot, talk your way out of trouble, pick up various things, and of course, solve puzzles. The control method is a bit clunky, unfortunately, especially during combat. You see, when you move around and you press left, you go left. But when you enter combat, the directions of the joystick rotate the hero clockwise, counterclockwise, and this takes some getting used to. The aiming mechanism is also not very precise, with the target wobbling about. I hope you hate walls and trees, because you will be shooting these a lot in this one. Interacting with the various hotspots is usually quite fluid, although I found the control system working against me in two or three places. An innovation of Wasted Dreams is the two-player simultaneous co-op mode, which is very rare for arcade adventures of this type. I haven't tried it, and I don't know how and if it works, but it certainly adds an extra dimension to the gameplay, not to mention an extra water pistol that is very handy for these damn aliens. Overall, the controls are not perfect, but the flaws are not severe enough so as to be game breaking. The graphics of this game are simply stunning. Both indoor and outdoor locations are nicely drawn without too much things cramped on the screen. The animation of the sprites is brilliant, and I think rotoscoping was used in this game. Everything moves very smoothly, the atmosphere is perfect, and you find yourself immersed in the game world before you even notice it. There is not much music in Wasted Dreams, and most of it is purely to create ambience. But what is there is quite good, non intrusive, and appropriate, contributing to the atmosphere without being annoying. The sound effects are also quite good. I have to admit I liked the speech, although it is a bit ridiculous. Everything is done by a single guy who employs chorus effects and different accents with varied degrees of success. Amiga games, let alone Amiga exclusives with actual speech, are quite rare. And although having all speech done by the same guy detracts from the overall quality, it makes me feel that these guys went the extra mile to provide Amiga gamers with some speech, even if they chose this way to pull it through. What about the storyline of Wasted Dreams? I have to admit that it was a nice effort and it unfolded in an appropriate pace, but it was full of plot holes and in the end didn't have me convinced. But if you can suspend your disbelief, you will find yourself relating to the hero and feel sympathy for his woes. The puzzles are usually quite obvious, but in some places you just have to use the time proven technique of randomly using everything on everything else and hope that something happens. There is a good amount of backtracking in Wasted Dreams, but at least the enemies don't respawn, or they do once, I think. And the hero moves quite fast, so it doesn't get too tiresome and you have to read some Dostoevsky novel while waiting for the player character to reach the next screen.
Who knows
The
what it's
worst
for
part
and
of
where it
this
leads.
game is by far the
Best
maze.
not enter without
It
knowing
has
more
some
about it.
hateful beams that kill you on touch, and almost everything
Hello
leads
there.
to a
You
dead
look
end.
busy. Indeed,
But
I'm always
somehow,
busy.
if you
Well, what do you think about
persevere,
our little
you
plan
can
then?
make it out alive. But
And
soon after that,
yes,
there is yet
said it was
another
perfect
maze,
shot, eh?
this time with switches that you have no idea
What
what
are you
part of
talking
the
about?
map they affect, unless you
What
actually
switches?
travel there to
What's
check it
troubling
out.
you?
I advise you to put
Why am I
aside your
constantly
gamer
failing you?
pride and use the power of the long play
Butterfay, you know it's
for
for
the
the best.
second maze. Overall, would I recommend Wasted
Hello
Dreams?
there.
Yes, I
Go away, I'm busy.
wholeheartedly would. Granted, it has some flaws, including a couple of mazes, but I think this one is a hidden gem for the Amiga and a worthy successor to Another World and Flashback. It is a pity that it didn't get a sequel, but I guess it's understandable at this point in Amiga's lifetime. So that's it for now, and I'll see you next time!